guys. Okay, the rest of part 3. So we stayed in that house, and this guy, his friend, was a crackhead. He did crack. He didn't do heroin. I mean, he might have done it here and there, but he was mostly on crack. So he decides to get us. He goes and gets something for all of us. So now I'm doing the crack again, and we're staying in her house. He kept going in the mother's bedroom and taking out a 20 here and there from her wallet and going and getting more crack. Um, that got us going. So now we are doing crack and heroin at the same time. We would do the crack, and then to come down, we would do the heroin. I'll tell you, I got pretty messed up a lot of times from that. I mean, dumb, where I didn't know where I was, what I was doing. I would just fall down because we've been doing all that crack. We're coming down, so we had to have something. We couldn't get more crack, so we would do the heroin. So, my boyfriend decides to rob a place. And there was no talking him out of it. I didn't want him to do it because if he got caught, he'd be in jail. I'd be all alone by myself again. I can't. I was a shy person, still am, believe it or not. I was very shy and very scared. Being alone out there was terrifying for me. I mean, it was terrifying. So he does it anyway. He robs the store and he only gets like, I think it was $2,000. Now, we don't have the kids. My sister had taken the kids from me. When I was in the hotel, this is what's hilarious. Not hilarious, but I mean, we're in the hotel, and one day I went down to use the microwave, and he pulls out an envelope. He goes, "This has been sitting here for you for about a week." So I opened it up, and it was the court order that my sister had asked for temporary custody of my kids. And I was upset, but I thought, well, at least they're not going to be sleeping in a motel with us, this dirty motel. They'll be safer. But I thought I was still going to get all my Social Security. And no, that wasn't happening because I no longer had custody of the kids. I lost those 2 checks, and those are like $550 each. And I also had one, I think it's called Mother's Benefits or something like that. I'm not sure. But I got that because I was a widowed mother taking care of kids. And I got a check for the same amount. So all that was stripped from me. I had nothing. That's when we started to have to steal. Because at all the time for like 3 months, I was getting over $1,500 a month. And that's what we were using to stay well. So after that was gone, that's when we had to start stealing all this stuff. He got to a point where he made me do everything. I had to do the stealing. I had to go out and get the crack, or I wouldn't get it. If I go, you're not going to get any. So I would have to stand on a corner somewhere and wait for the dealer. And it was always shady places, like meet me in the back parking lot by this bar, which was in a bad neighborhood. And I would, take a bus there, or if it was close enough, I'd walk. Well, I say close enough, it could be a half hour, 45-minute walk. I would walk it because otherwise I wasn't going to get any. Because if I sent him to go get it, my boyfriend, I wouldn't get any. And when he said that, he meant it. He'd give me a mercy hit. That's all he would do. So I would go do it. I was scared so many times. So then we started on the crack again. As we were doing crack in Kentucky. And the stealing got worse because you could do heroin in the morning and you're probably good for most of the day. But not with crack. Crack, you got to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. Um, Even though I went and got the crack, he would still take charge of it and give me pieces like that. I have no idea how big of pieces he was smoking. I was just happy to get my little crumbs and do it. One time we were at his office and he had it on the desk and he had my pile and his pile, and I could definitely see it was a lot bigger. So we're smoking. I'm not thinking. I didn't finish mine. I put a nice chunk in my purse so I can go home and smoke it. And I was sitting there talking, and I see crumbs, and I knock it on the floor. Okay. Well, he went back and said, "Where the fuck is my crack?" I'm thinking, "Oh shit, it's on the floor." I'm trying to tell him what I did. I'm on the floor looking for it. He's threatening me. He's gonna fuck me up. He's gonna kill me. All this shit. He was so pissed. I said, "Look, I saved a piece for me. You can have it." And even though I gave that to him, he kept accusing me of smoking it while he was working. And I'm trying to tell him the truth. I saw what I thought was crumbs and just naturally wiped them off the desk. Oh, God, he went nuts. I mean, even the girl that was working for him, she was a pretty tough chick. She was kind of like stepping back and staying away, and she kept looking at me like with concern. He was going off on me. I was waiting to get punched. I was just waiting for it. Or spit on, or slapped, or whichever one he was going to do. And because I think she was there, he didn't do it. And I think that's the only thing that saved me that day. Because when he got home from work, after I went home and had nothing, went home, and when he came home, as soon as he walked in the door, he said, "There's a crack thief." And then he keeps bitching about how mean I was and how rotten it was that I would smoke his crack while he was working. And that's not what happened. But so that night, all I kept hearing was, "You bitch, you stupid," all this shit. Um, so anyway, when I came back to Cleveland after he choked me, I got back together with him because I was going to be kicked out of my sister's house, had nowhere to go. I was arrested it was probably a year after that we were still together. I got arrested 3 times. I was bailed out by this old guy that really liked me. And he'd buy me things all the time. He let me stay in his van. He even talked his wife into letting me sleep on the couch a few times. But I mean, he was in love with me. And of course, I went along with whatever he said or whatever he gave me because I was desperate. He was in jail most of the time. He'd get out, he'd stay longer than me, but he'd get arrested and I'd be on my own. So I'd go with this old man, sleep in his van or sleep at his house on the couch. And I had to sleep in the old abandoned trailer that was a trailer park they were going to destroy. And there was this old trailer. And just so to be out and hidden, I went and slept in there on the floor. And it was terrible. Dude, it was just a bad time. It was all coming to an end. And then he went to jail. And they gave him 6 months. And again, I was out on my own. Well, it turned out that his friend, who I also knew from my husband, it was his friend, or not his friend, but he knew him. He said, "You know what?" He said, "I stay in the basement, the storage room of my friend's apartment building." So he said, "You could stay with me." So we had to sneak around because there were cameras and they didn't want anybody seeing we were there. So we'd sneak around the building and then we'd go downstairs and we had to be there at 11 o'clock at night. And then the friend would come down, but he had to lock us in this little room. He said, I have to keep it locked. If they see it's open and they find you in here, I'm kicked out. So we got to lock you in. I was terrified because the guy I was with, I mean, he was trying to protect me, but he used so much heroin that he would nod out in the middle of a conversation standing there. He had burn clothes all over his clothes, his shoes, the car he was driving at the time. There were cigarette burns all over the place. I was terrified I was going to burn to death. So every night I'd be locked in there with him. I couldn't sleep because I had to watch him. And there were a bunch of boxes and stuff. And he was laying on this like cloth cot, like something from maybe a long lounge chair. And I thought that was going to go up in flames. Yeah, so I was a nervous wreck all the time. And I hung around with him all the time. And again, I had to do all the stealing. He would just drive us to these places, and he was the getaway driver, which he said was the most important thing because you got to get out of there. But I kept getting arrested. I got arrested probably twice more. The last one, he talked me into stealing a computer. And it was over $500. I forgot what it was. So that became a felony. I told him I didn't want to do that because if I got caught, it'd be a felony. I wasn't going to get out. He said, well, then we have nothing for the whole day. He was never like mean to me or hit me or nothing like that. And we never got together, like sexual or anything. We were just friends, and he kind of was in his way looking out for me. So I started finding out that we'd steal stuff and he would sell it, and he'd come back and tell us this is how much we got, and then he'd go cop and we'd have to split it because there was another kid that hung around with us. I found out somehow that he was selling them everything for a certain amount and then telling us something different. And one day he said, oh, I said I wanted a beer. Can we get a beer? He goes, all the money's gone, man. That's what I got. That's what we got well with. Well, he was drunk. He was reaching in his pocket. I don't know what he was going to do, but he started nodding out. And out of his pocket falls $160. I counted it. And my thoughts were, do I take it and go somewhere? Or do I wake him up and let him know he dropped it? I didn't know what to do. I was in the situation. I was thinking I'm going to take 20 for myself because he would drink the beer. He'd drink beer and smoke cigarettes. I couldn't buy cigarettes. I couldn't buy beer. And I was an alcoholic, don't forget. And we'd go to the bar, which was mine and my other boyfriend's, not other boyfriend, my boyfriend's office. And we'd go there, and he was able to keep drinking, and I couldn't. And I'm like, he'd tell that dude bought me a beer. It was nice of him. And I believed him. So I'm sitting there, dying for a drink, dying for a cigarette, and he's sitting there drinking and smoking and saying he never had money. And then I caught him that time. And when I called him out on it, he threw me out of the car and left me at the bar. I had nowhere to go, no way to get there. And then the old guy that liked me, he told me I can come home. And he talked to his wife, and I was able to go in, take a shower, eat something, and spend the night at their house. But otherwise, I would have been stuck out on the street. And that happened to me once before. And I was very scared. It's all winding down now. It was a matter of me getting busted for that computer. And it was a felony. My time is up again. I'm going to continue it. I'm going to try to continue this. I might be cut off, but I'm going to try to see if I can push it past 15. So anyway, make a long story short and end my saga. I was in jail for a felony. So I went to county jail. I'm sitting there realizing I'm not getting out. That was when, when I got there, I got sick because I had nothing. And, tossing and turning. And this girl that was above me was like bitching at me all the time because I kept tossing and turning and getting up and stretching my legs. I couldn't help it. I had restless leg syndrome, something terrible. And just to find out that I was going to be there for a while. And it was like 3 days before the time that I would be released because I still haven't called me to court. I don't know how that goes. I still haven't gone to court. And everybody was telling me after this many days you could go free. On the very last day, they gave me a court appointment. And they told me I had to go to rehab for 3 months, but it had to be in-house. No matter how much I argued and how much I begged, it was in-house. So I waited about a couple weeks. They called me in. They sent me to the rehab. Well, first of all, I was going to actually get out because the old guy paid my bail. But the 2 cities had warrants out for me for stealing, so I had to go. So I had to go to rehab, and that's where I spent, it was about 8 months altogether after spending 6 months in county. But it straightened me out. It straightened me out, and I was able to become a parent again after, might have been a year. I finally got custody of my kids back. And I did everything in my power to make up for me being gone and me being out there. I got them a pool, I got them a basketball hoop, let them have their friends over all the time. We took little trips here and there. And it got better. And my kids were actually pretty good kids. I mean, you had your little typical things, but they never ran away. My daughter didn't get pregnant at an early age. She was smart enough to do that. You had some back talk from my daughter. That was it. Never from my son. And besides stupid little teenage stuff, they were good kids. And then they grew up to become good, responsible adults. And I'm very happy for that because they both gave me grandchildren. But that's it. I'm up to 18 minutes. I don't know if this is going to go through. I might just be talking to the wind here. But that's kind of my story. And I'm sure I'll think of things here and there I'll bring up if it's worth it. But I was able to become clean and sober. But I have cirrhosis of the liver. And yes, I am drinking. But I don't drink a lot. The last couple of days I've drank because of my moods. I've been totally stressed and totally depressed. I forgot what I was going to say. Ooh, that was a hair. I had hepatitis C, which is what my husband died from. And I had it, and then I got that treatment. It came out. The pills were $1,000 a piece. So I took those, just like they said, for 3 months. I was cured of hepatitis C, but it had destroyed my liver, and I have F5 cirrhosis, which is bad. So like I said, I do drink because the guy I was with, the old guy I was with, I lived with for a year, kept talking about wanting to drink, wanting to drink, wanting to drink. And I wore down finally. It was just a day. I had a bad day. And he says, we should get some wine. And I said, fuck it. Let's go get some wine. And he did. And I drank it. And that's when I started drinking. But I still don't drink every day, all the time. Except for these last, actually 3 days, I think. Because of my mood swings. But that's it. I did my life of drugs and alcohol, and it got me nothing except a bad liver and an early death. So, that's it. So, if any of you kids out here are listening, you're in school, you're listening, it's not worth it. It really isn't. It is not worth it. Because you're either going to die or end up in jail. And you'll have nothing. I'm 64 and I have nothing. I live in the basement of my daughter and her husband's house. And I have a car, I have a refrigerator, a bed, a cabinet, a table, and a reclining chair. And that's all I own. That's all I own. Because I fucked up my life. And I'm paying for it still now. And so will you. So don't use, okay? Really, it's not worth it. Fuck your friend that say you're a chicken or whatever. Just fuck them. Walk away from them. You don't need it. You don't. It's not going to do anything good for your life. Okay, well, I just went to 21 minutes. Let's see if it goes through. If it doesn't, I'll finish it up in another video. It doesn't matter because I'm talking to air anyway if it doesn't go through. Okay, guys. I'll see you. Like and subscribe. Love having you guys listening to me. I really do. So thank you. And I'll talk to you later.